right, so next up we're going to talk about Igetc so that you have a clear understanding of what is required on that GE sheet. So again, Igetc stands for the Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum, and it can be used to meet the GE requirements at a CSU or a UC. It can also be used to earn your associate's degree, and there are a lot of out-of-state or California privates that will accept Igetc as well. So for Area 1, you need your English composition, which would be English 1A or ESL 10, or if you took AP English, you could count that there. The critical thinking is your second English requirement. So if you're not following Igetc, but you're just doing the 7 course requirements that we talked about, any one of these classes would meet your second semester of English. So Comms 9, English 5, Philosophy 5, or you could take English 1B, which is literature. For a CSU, so this is required for a CSU, you need Comms 1, pure public speaking, or Comms 4, which is interpersonal communications. So you need one of those classes, but only if you're applying to a CSU, not the UC. Area 2 is your math. So remember, math is determined by your major. So if your major doesn't care what math you take, then you can do Psych 9, which is a statistics class taught by the psychology department. If you are on that bio plan that we talked about, you're a bio major, you will most likely need calculus. Okay. Area C is 9 units, so you need 1 course in the arts section, 1 course in the humanities, and the 3rd course can come from either section. So if you take Art 1.1 and 1.2, you can come down here and take Humanities 4.1. Now, maybe you took AP Spanish in high school and you got a score of 4. Then your AP Spanish would count in the Humanities section as well, okay? And so if you've done AP, it's important that you have your scores sent to SRJC. Area 4, starting this year, 2023, is now 6 units. This used to be 9 units. So if you still have catalog rights, this is not your first semester at SRJC, you can use the old form if that works better for you. So whatever works best for you, you're protected with what was in place when you started here with that catalog, okay? The only time that changes is if the state changes something for licensing, like a nursing student now has to have, you know, I don't know, an intro to child development class or something like that. Then that's out of our hands, okay? But if the colleges come up with new requirements, they start it at a new catalog year, so anybody coming in that year now has to do it. So old catalog rights, you can go either way. If this is your first semester at SRJC, this is what you're following. So 6 units in Area 4, and they have to be courses from at least 2 disciplines. So what that means is you're not going to take Psych 1A and Psych 3 and have this requirement done. You could take Psych 3 and then take History 5. Okay, that would be fine. Area 5 is your physical and biological sciences. So you need 1 physical science, 1 biological science, and the 3rd requirement is that one of those has a lab. And the labs are indicated with an asterisk or with the letter L. So up here we have Astronomy 3. That is a lecture class only. It's 3 units. You could then take Astronomy 3L, which is the lab, or you could actually take Astronomy 12, which is a 1-unit lab that can go with Astronomy 3 or Astronomy 4. If you are that bio major, you're going to take Bio 2.1. The lab is part of the class. So you don't register for another class. The lab is integrated into the lecture. So it's lecture and lab combined. And so Bio 2.1 would meet the lab activity requirement. Area 6A is your language other than English. This is required only for the UC and not the CSU. So there are several ways that you could meet this. You could take a class at SRJC. Maybe you took that AP Spanish. That's going to meet that requirement. If you did 2 years of high school coursework, in another language and your final term grade was at least a C minus, then that's fine. You couldn't have had a C minus in one and then you took it again and got a D. That wouldn't work. You'd have to take a class. If you attended school where the language of instruction was not English for, where does it say? I think it's at the 6th grade. Yeah, right here. The 6th grade level or higher, we can use that. If you haven't attended a school, but let's say you're a native Spanish speaker, we can administer an assessment for you to take, okay? So there's lots of ways to meet this requirement. Area 7 is the class that was added in fall of 2023, okay? And so this is one 3-unit class in ethnic studies. And so you take one of the ethnic study classes to meet that requirement. The CSU has a graduation requirement. We talked about this when we talked about the CSU GE sheet of 1 U.S. history and 1 government class. Again, those classes are up above in the social and behavioral sciences section. So if you took history 17.1 and then took poli-sci 1, it's going to meet the 6 units in area 4, and it's also going to meet the CSU graduation requirement. Okay, so that is the Igetc pattern that you will want to follow if you are applying to a UC as a low unit major or a high unit major, just depending on how much time you're going to be spending at SRJC.